Coming up, we share the new details that have been announced for the Disney Riviera Resort. We discuss if a new Disney World attraction will be nearly 30 minutes in length. We share what international attractions we'd love to see in the domestic parks. And in the main segment, we give our full review of the Coronado Springs Resort. All that and more on this episode of WDW Opinion. Cue the music.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
This is the podcast where two friends, Connor
You are a child's plaything!
and Hank,
You are a sad, strange little man. Can you have my pity?
share their opinions, tips, and stories about anything and everything at Walt Disney World.
Trust me, what could go wrong?
Get ready, because this is WDW Opinion.
We're in the tower. We are ready for takeoff.
Hello and welcome to episode number 27 of WDW Opinion, the podcast where friends talk Disney. We share our Disney World opinions so that you can start planning for and daydreaming about your next perfect Disney vacation. We share our opinions with our blog, podcast, Facebook live streams, and more. Join the Disney Opinion conversation by following us on social media where we are at WDW Opinion, and visit WDWopinion.com to check out our blog posts on all things Disney and to see what we're up to in between episodes. There you can also get a free Disney trip planning checklist when you sign up for our weekly email newsletter. I'm your host, Connor Brown, and I'm joined by my co-host and Disney partner in crime, Mr. Hank Molsky. Hank, God is good, because I just heard the best news ever. Star Wars, Galaxy's Edge, the Millennium Falcon, Smuggler's Run, will have a single rider line.
All right. Hey guys, I'm Connor Brown. Your Miller family, right? That's what we were talking about in line. Okay, listen, Johnny, you have been just all over the place on these training videos. We're going to need you to sharpen up for the actual run. Rhonda, please open your eyes, and Dad, put the drink down.
Rebecca, for the love of God, put the Snapchat down, sister. I know you're only 14, but you'll have plenty of time to spend with your friends after this. We got to get this sucker over to the Kessel Run in less than 12 parsecs, all right? Listen, everybody, I'm the captain now.
Yeah, there's going to be some very interesting dynamics that emerge on this ride with, single rider families, marriages that end. Well, that already happens at Disney World anyways, but we're going to accelerate things when you crash the Millennium Falcon.
Is that something you're worried about happening to your marriage, Hank?
Yes, this all is contingent on the price of our blue milk, because if we crash it, I know I'm going to have to haggle for longer, and I'm just going to settle for the higher price, and then it's all downhill from there.
Oh my gosh. So basically, the reasoning behind this, and it's reported from a different outlet. It's not reported directly from Disney. So just coming off of my knowledge, the reason behind the single rider line, why they want to do it, is because for this ride, there's an interesting number of seats. I think it's like 7 or 6 seats, something like that, per vehicle, per Millennium Falcon ride vehicle. And kind of like, Test Track where there's 6, or any of the roller coasters where it's, a number where they could just add a body in.
Yes.
This is actually integral to having the entire, cabin filled, because you're flying the Millennium Falcon, and each person is going to have their own assignments. Kind of like mission space, and when you're, the navigator, the engineer, the pilot, and
right,
the co-pilot. But
except I don't think these things are going to be flashing at you.
Exactly.
I think you're pretty much dependent to figure it out. Or it'll be like John Boyega's going to pop in. It'll be like, hope someone puts up the deflector shields pretty soon. I don't think your button will be lighting up, but I think you're going to have to do some reasoning. Yeah.
It's also important because if you don't do it, the Millennium Falcon could crash, or it could go, somewhere it's not supposed to go. Unlike Mission Space, where if you push it, or you don't push it, the same thing happens. This is very much, you're telling the story depending upon what you're doing. So they need everyone in to fill up all those seats. So that's where I think it makes sense to do that. Say you have a family of 5, or if you have a group of 3 and a group of 2, it's, you're going to need one extra person.
Sure.
It's a weird number to do that. I'm very excited for that because I'm pro single rider. I'll go on a single rider wherever. This is, I think, a ride where I will, enjoy going on it with a group just because that group dynamic is very necessary.
Yeah, I do think that will be fun. Yeah.
I think it'll be cool to no, you gotta push that button, do this, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, more times than not, it will add some good, the character or friendship building in the parks.
Exactly. Yeah.
There'll be some times where I don't think too many people are going to be, stiff going into Galaxy's Edge for the first few years.
Let's hope.
I think people are going to be pretty hyped. But there also is that pretty interesting dynamic about how are they going to manage the desire. No, I'm telling you right now, no matter what you give other people's responsibilities on that, on the Falcon, people are going to want to be co-pilot and pilot. Yeah. That is going to be a big deal. That is going to be I can't even think of something that's comparable. Maybe the closest thing that I'm thinking of in the Orlando area is the extended amount of wait that you have to wait to sit in the front seat of the Incredible Hulk.
Right.
Where you're waiting a substantial amount of time extra to sit in one of those premier seats. I'm thinking that it's going to end up being kind of like that, at least when you get to the front of the line.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be people that were, Connor, when you and I go, we are saying, I've been in this line for 3 hours. I'm going to wait another 45 minutes to make sure that I'm the pilot.
Exactly. Yeah. And when we go with a group, you best believe we are not letting any of those SOBs get in that pilot or co-pilot section. That's us. That's the Hank and Ron show. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep. There goes all our friends. So, you just did us a favor. No one wants to go with us anymore.
No, that's fine. I'll gladly have 4 single riders behind me. I am pro that. But let's also be cautious. There have been plenty of rides that have had intentions of single rider that haven't come to fruition. There's, when Flight of Passage in Pandora: The World of Avatar opened, there was a single rider line right there. It has not been used yet. Soarin' had a single rider line for our first few months in Epcot, probably in Disney's California Adventure as well. I used to work on the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. There were intentions to possibly have a single rider in that roller coaster as well, but it never came to fruition. So this might be a thing where they open with it, and if it's going well, then they keep it. If it's becoming too much of a hassle, then they stop. Because it can be a hassle. I've been in this a cast member on rides where getting people on rides is very, very, very stressful. Because they're not the best communicators. They don't know what's going on. It's a new thing, which is totally reasonable. But every 43 seconds, Mine Train would dispatch, and I had to make sure there were 20 people, no matter what numbers were being thrown at me. Adding that second, thing of stop, single rider, this row, stop, single rider, this row. How many in your party? It's just one extra step that can lead to a headache. So one good comparison, though, the one ride that floats out there that I actually do think that is the most similar with a single file line or single rider line, 6 seats, Test Track. And they love that single file line. Absolutely. And I think that works because there's a lot more waiting to it. It's batches of people going, which I think syncs up to this very well too. I think depending on where that
very similar load system. Honestly, the more you think about it,
depending on where that merge point is of the single rider with the standby or the fast pass line.
I'm imagining this ride being more or less like an Omni Mover type of experience when you get to the front of that line where they're like, "We got to roll, people. We are moving you in quick."
Walking. Yeah. Well, time will tell, but if there is a single rider, Hank and I will probably be parting our separate ways sometime soon.
Adios.
Now it's time for News to Opinion. This is our weekly segment where we each pick a recent Disney news story to discuss and share our thoughts and opinions on. My Disney news story of the week is that new details have been announced for the Riviera Resort. This is coming from WDW News today. Disney's Riviera Resort is now accepting room-only and package reservations for stays beginning December 16th, 2019. This is slated to be the 15th Disney Vacation Club resort and will immerse guests in the grandeur and enchantment of the European Riviera. The deluxe resort is slated to offer approximately 300 family-friendly vacation homes, including deluxe studios, 1- and 2-bedroom villas, and grand villas that sleep up to 12 guests each. A unique accommodation will be an all-new category called Tower Studios, which sleep 2 guests each. So, Hank, when it comes to the Disney Vacation Club, my family are Disney Vacation Club members. And Hank, you have stayed with us on a couple of occasions where we've been in the villas, in the Disney Vacation Club villas. The appeal of the villas is there's a lot more space. When it comes to 1 bedroom and 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, you get a full kitchen, a full family room, dining room section. There's a lot of, space to sprawl out, basically.
Yeah. Vacation
Club has also always offered studios, and studios are basically it's kind of like a normal hotel room, except there's a little bit of a kitchenette. There's a pull-out, and then there's a pull-out chair too. So 5 people could sleep there in most studios. These new things that they're calling Tower Studios are insane in a weird way. Basically, what it is it's only 2 people can stay in this. There's a little kitchenette, but there's no bed. There's only...
That's what that picture was. Yeah.
A quote-unquote pull-out sofa for 2. So it's a queen bed that kind of pulls out. I'll explain that in a second. You get a balcony. You get, your standard bathroom, but that's it. Very interesting, because what it looks like they're doing, it looks like in this resort, they're getting rid of the pull-out sofas, and they're replacing them all with these pull-down queen-size beds that just tuck away to become a sofa.
Do you have to move that sofa?
No.
Do you have to move?
I think what it is that sofa folds down.
Interesting.
Yeah, because...
Yeah, I guess I can see that in the rendering. This is a very engaging podcast session for...
I'm trying to explain this. I know, it's hard. So basically, it's like there's a sofa pushed up against the wall.
Yeah.
The wall behind it is a Murphy bed. When you pull it down, it's folding the sofa in front of it, and it's pulling the Murphy bed to, be level.
You gotta have really long arms.
Exactly. Yeah.
To reach over the sofa.
But, I think this is cool. I think the replacement of the pull-out sofas with this is cool, because those pull-out sofas are awful. You've slept on them before. They're 2 inches thick. There's a metal bar in your back the entire night. On the flip side, we just stayed at Pop Century a little while ago. They had these same
the Murphy beds are great
technologies. Yeah. It's a full bed, just in the wall. It's normal thickness, full queen size. Seems pretty awesome.
And honestly, and don't know if you thought about this too, the time efficiency that it must save housekeeping to be able to flip up a bed to clean a hardwood floor compared to the old days of going around like a carpet room and having to vacuum around stuff, or even folding up a roll-away sofa and move cushions around. You are increasing, with the bottom line that Disney's always worried about now, you are increasing that efficiency of cleaning services tenfold by having that in there.
Oh, I'm sure it's one of those things where it's like, if they save 2 minutes of time, it allots to 30
millions of dollars.
Some crazy number in efficiency savings or whatever.
For sure.
It's always crazy when you're doing that.
We could hire 6 less people. Great.
But I think The interesting part about these tower studios where it's just the bed that pulls out of the wall, yes, that's cool. Yes, I know it's only designed for 2 guests. If you're staying there with cash and you want a tower studio, mind you, the bed pulls out of the wall and that's it. $486 a night.
You get the balcony though, so
You get the
I'll give
balcony.
them that.
You get the balcony where, thank God, 2 chairs can fit comfortably.
Yeah, but a balcony, as far as a balcony price is concerned at Disney, that's a fairly inexpensive balcony to be standing on.
That's true.
The room as a whole, that's the cheapest balcony that you stand on. Room as a whole, you're getting way less for square footage,
And in reality, what's going to happen with this resort, like all Disney Vacation Club resorts, are the Vacation Club members are going to stay there pretty much exclusively. So they're going to use their points to stay here. I'll be interested to see how many points these tower studios come out to, if it is, worth it, because when my parents go by themselves, they still get a 1-bedroom. They don't even get a studio. So I don't know if this is going to be that more appealing, but maybe if you could get 1 or 2 more trips out of it by staying here.
Too, right?
Yeah, exactly. So that's cool.
So you don't get a balcony at a studio in the boardwalk.
Probably not. You might get one where it's just, I think pretty much everything gets a balcony because they have, in a lot of the resorts.
That's a good point about Disney Vacation, the rooms. You get the kitchenette and the balcony. That's another thing I didn't really think about.
Well,
in a lot of cases.
A lot of the resorts have what are called dedicated 2-bedrooms and 2-bedroom lock-offs. A dedicated 2-bedroom it's only a 2-bedroom. That's it. 2-bedroom lock-off, it means it's a 1-bedroom combined with a studio. So they just have that connecting door. So sometimes someone could be staying in the studio and it's one family, and one family next door staying in the 1-bedroom. So other times it's one family in total that's staying in now what is a 2-bedroom with the studio and the 1-bedroom. So there's almost always a balcony on these when it comes to Disney Vacation Club. But yeah, I mean, when this room is this small, you're not really expecting a whole lot. So I think that's worth it. I think the rooms look great. I think the overall artist renderings look awesome. It gives kind of a very Grand Floridian vibe, but you can definitely see those European tones and, tones of grandeur. When it comes to food offerings, I think they seem to be knocking this out of the park. Topolino, which is the Italian name for Mickey Mouse, is also is the name of their signature table service restaurant, which will be on the rooftop of Disney's Riviera Resort. Topolino's Terrace, flavors of the Riviera, had to get a colon in there somehow.
Of course.
This restaurant, featuring authentic dishes infused with French and Italian flavors, will offer picturesque vistas of the nighttime spectaculars of nearby Epcot or Disney's Hollywood Studios. Plus, families looking to start their morning off with a breakfast experience can visit Topolino's Terrace for exclusive Disney character dining inspired by the Riviera. So I think this is cool because it seems, very California Grill-esque. It's on top of the, very, very top of the building, and it's surrounded by glass windows. So there's going to be a great views no matter where you sit. It's going to be very appealing when those nighttime fireworks come, and hopefully the food's tasty. I mean, French and Italian flavors, that's always welcome in my book.
Yeah, definitely. I think I agree. The renderings look great. We're getting used to this style of Disney rendering that rolls out. I don't want to say like I've grown like complacent with it, but like they do tend to blur together a little bit. But you turn around and you, like, for example, for me, I can send this stuff to my wife who doesn't, look at every single picture every single hour of the day like Connor and I do. And I show this to her and she's like, whoa, that is my new favorite resort.
Really?
That's beautiful.
That's
like,
right.
I want to stay there more than the Grand Floridian. I'm like, damn, that's right. This doesn't look exactly like Reflections, the lakeside property next to Wilderness Lodge, or like the same type of renderings that you see for the Grandestino Tower,
Yeah.
that type of thing.
Yeah.
So they do appeal to more people. I'm not saying we have any better taste. We just stare at the wrong photos all day.
No, it's like, at work every once in a while you're like, could someone else look at this? Because I can't stare at this anymore, and I know there's an error in it. I just can't see it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. It's
a sweet water slide too.
It does look cool. They have a couple other dining options like Le Petit Cafe, which is an inviting lobby area where they'll have brewed coffees and pastries by day, but then it'll transform into a bustling wine bar at night. And the new quick service location, Primo Piatto, is reminiscent of chic dining venues found along Riviera promenades. Will be conveniently located near the feature pool and bar Riva, an open-air pool bar with a seaside vibe featuring crisp white tiles and cool blue accents. So I'll say this much. I've stayed at many, many Disney Vacation Club resorts before. Mm-hmm. When they're dedicated DVC resorts, meaning they're not like a Grand Floridian that has an add-on villa section to it, or the Polynesian that has an add-on villa section to it. When they're standalone, like right now, it's pretty much only Saratoga Springs and Old Key West Resort. They're big, gigantic resorts. I always feel like the food is lackluster and there needs to be more of it. The vibe I'm getting with this resort is they've heard those cries and they're coming out swinging.
Yeah, in force. Yeah, that sounds good.
They have 3 dining options and a standalone bar. I think that's very important, but I also think the reason behind that is there's only 300 guest rooms. That's a lot of guests, but it's not to the size of Saratoga or of Old Key West. The reason they need to bring all of these new restaurants in is because it's getting its own dedicated Disney Skyliner stop.
That's a very good point.
So that's going to bring a lot of, what would we call it, gondola traffic? A lot of people getting off, wanting to explore this resort, wanting to eat at these restaurants. That's probably why
it's a brand new resort. Why wouldn't you want to get off on the brand new mode of transportation and look around
at the brand new place? And it's probably why they added in a character breakfast up at the top tower, at Topolino's Terrace as well.
That's a telltale sign of, is Disney trying to squeeze money out of this location? Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's like
Kool-Aid man, bust through the door.
It's like sticking your finger in the air. I'm doing that right now to like test the wind.
Yeah.
That's like what you do on property at Disney World. Character dinner. Oh, they're trying to get money.
Suckers,
a lot of money right here.
Suckers flying through
Artist
the air.
Artist Point. Hang on. Oh yeah, they're trying to get money out of this.
Boom. Hey, I'll say this. It looks cool. Like Hank was saying, the pool looks cool. I will say it's on the backside. Anytime there's a pool with a tower, it can get a little chilly. I'll just say that. Depending on which way the sun set. But it looks absolutely beautiful. I can't wait to explore this place. I think it's interesting because it will be standalone it won't be really connected to anything other than the Skyliner. Like, the boardwalk. You're on the boardwalk. Contemporary. You're a monorail away from Magic Kingdom. Saratoga Springs, you're a boat ride or a walk away from Disney Springs. So this will be interesting to see how this plays out. It's basically across the street from a bunch of stuff, but I think it's shaping up to be a cool place to experience and a cool place to just hang out at.
All right, so now that we've talked your ear off about some Star Wars stuff and then the Riviera Resort, I'm going to hit you with another quick Star Wars story. We don't need to dive too long into this one since we are plowing through our time. But another news, it wasn't really news until I picked up one of my old employers actually ran this headline after it floated around in some Disney rumor blog sites for a couple days. The Arizona Republic, one of my former employer where I wrote there for several months as a fellow, ran this headline.
Which he was fired for.
Absolutely not. They asked me to leave.
It was a conscious uncoupling.
No, they sent me to Cincinnati, Ohio, kind of like the British sent people to Australia.
Georgia.
Yeah, just go out there. Star Wars Galaxy's Edge rumors. : Wait, hang on a second. Hang on. This is wait. I just realized this. Star Wars : Galaxy's Edge rumors :
Oh my god.
will Disney's new ride be 28 minutes long? 28 minutes long. So those of you that follow the Disney Twitterverse out there, you may have heard about this one. It's been floated out there that the ride experience for Rise of the Resistance will be 28 minutes long. Connor and I have detailed this a couple times now on past shows, and it's becoming pretty clear that we don't have a great idea yet of what these pre-show elements are. We talked a little bit about these ride vehicles that would be transporting you up, and it seems that news has leaked already since the last time we recorded that the ride vehicles that will transport you from Batuu, Galaxy's Edge, Black Spire Outpost, that takes you from that up to the Star Destroyer, it could be any type of vehicle at this point. No one really seems to know. So we're going to back off the rumor that we heard about the Dumbo-like vehicles taking you up, and now into like almost a theater experience that's rotating and dropping you off. To give you this more realistic immersion point. But that's where this 28-minute ride experience kind of begins. You're gonna be taken on a different type of ride than you're used to. Is your pre-show elements are now going to be show elements, really. We can't think of it that way anymore, especially when this opens up. So there's going to be that whole exciting part where you're taken up to the Star Destroyer, taken captive. I think one of the most exciting parts of the entire ride right now seems like when you get off of that ship and step into the Star Destroyer, Connor, and there's going to be like 60 animatronic stormtroopers there, like ready to take you into custody and put you in a jail cell.
I mean, that's everything I've ever wanted.
Yeah, to be in a jail cell
to be in an Empire jail cell. This is going to be incredible. And like Hank is saying, we have to kind of retrain our brains about what we think an attraction is. Mm-hmm. Much like Flight of Passage and Pandora, the World of Avatar, there's segments that used to be considered pre-show. A pre-show would be something like Patrick Warburton, your chief flight attendant, telling you to buckle up on Soarin'.
Yep.
But when it comes to Flight of Passage, there's 2 pre-shows where your lead scientist and Dr. Jackie Ogden is telling you not only what to expect, what you need to do, but the story behind the entire conquest of Pandora.
Yeah, and there's all these augmented reality elements too, where they're scanning you for lice or whatever.
And I
think there's a lot more to it.
This Rise of Resistance will just be that on steroids, because you're going to be experiencing the story, experiencing those pre-shows, but you're going to be moving on vehicles to get to the quote-unquote main ride. Yeah. But in actuality, everything's the main ride. It's just a new way of looking at it. Even, like Hank is saying, when you're in line after you get off the first vehicle, you're walking past 60 stormtroopers. That's part of the ride, even though it's actually a segment of the line. Right. I mean, there's just, it's incredible what they've, dreamed up. And we're already saying this, and we don't even know official stuff. There's no picture of this floating out there yet. This is blueprints and inferences and all that type of thing. Rumor sites piecing together everything. But it's cool. Disney's figured out, even on this ride, with this 28-minute experience that seems to be coming, that they're rethinking what it means to have an attraction in land. Because I think, on the other hand, the actual time that you're going to be flying the Millennium Falcon now seems like it's only going to be about like 3.5 to 4 minutes at the most, with like the ride, boarding and offboarding stuff. But that, at the same time, you go, wait a second, you're going to be getting onto the Millennium Falcon. Yes.
Like that, people would wait 3 hours. I mean, people wait 3 hours to see, not 3 hours, 2 hours to see Mickey and shake his hand in his house, in Toontown. But now people are going to wait 3 hours to get on the Millennium Falcon. Oh, and then guess what? You're going to fly it too. So that's just, it's a cherry on top.
I think I've always wondered if the shortness of the rides is the appeal of why the lines are so long. I think with so many e-ticket attractions, especially roller coasters are typically only 2 minutes 30 seconds. If you're lucky. That was Seven Dwarfs Mine Train was that, and yet people would wait 2 hours to experience something that only lasts 2 minutes and 30 seconds. I always wondered if the scarcity in the ride was the demand of the line, and I think. Yeah. What Disney has started to shift is those e-tickets used to be quick, boom, 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 boom. But once we started getting things like Soarin', I think really ushered it in. And then Flight of Passage, these long sort of rides that keep us entertained for a while. I think that's great because when you are waiting for so long and you can be entertained for that much longer, that's very, very, very cool. So if it is 28 minutes, that's awesome. Hank, what do you think, just to put that in perspective, how long do you think the Great Movie Ride lasted? Like, what was the length of that ride?
I don't know, 13 minutes?
22 minutes.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Jeez.
But, slow moving, very narrative heavy, like narration and stuff like that. So this is going to be even longer in the...
If I were a teenager, I'd be like, I don't know, like 45 minutes.
2.5 hours.
I hate that ride.
That being said, Ellen's Energy Adventure, I think, was like 45 minutes.
Yeah, that thing was long.
Like with all the pre-shows and stuff.
Yeah.
So there you go. We have a new resort coming, and you can stay there right before you experience your 28-minute attraction in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. So, late last night, the Disney Parks blog announced a new land coming to Shanghai Disneyland. Zootopia Land will be coming to the park, and this marks the second expansion since its opening in 2016. The land, of course, will be based off of the Academy Award-winning Zootopia animated feature. This was an interesting line in the blog post that announced it too. It said, "The development of the world's first Zootopia-themed land." So that word "first" really jumped out at me. It really got me thinking. It got me thinking that maybe Zootopia will be in other theme parks. And then I got a little jealous that, well, what if it's not Disney World? When's it going to come here? So for this segment, I want Hank and I to talk about what attractions around the world we would love to see in Disney World. So Hank, obviously there's plenty of incredible Disney attractions throughout the world. I think the Tron coaster coming to Tomorrowland is the first attraction that debuted overseas that's now coming stateside.
Oh, wow. I didn't think about that.
I can't recall any others that started somewhere. Oh, no. I mean, Lights, Motors, Action. How could I forget?
Oh,
started in Paris. But
how about current rides? Thank you.
Yeah, current rides, current attractions.
Attractions.
But I think there's a ton of other options we could pick. So, Hank, what attraction globally would you love to see come to Walt Disney World? And keep Zootopia out of this for now because, we don't know what is actually coming for it.
Okay,
and there have been rumors for that as well.
I'm grinning because I thought I could get away with my decision. I know what I'm going to say. Hang on, I got two answers for you. I was going to be clever. I'm still going to be clever. But I was hoping you wouldn't ask the question so pointedly and say, what attraction? I was hoping you'd say, what do you want to come to Disney?
I don't care. Go for it. If it's a land, if it's a hotel, whatever. What would
wow.
you like
I'm gonna throw a curveball at you here. Ready?
Goodness.
I want the Oriental Land Company to run Disney World. Okay, time to color that one in. For those of you listening at home, the Tokyo Disneyland Resort, the parks are run not by Disney, are operated not by the Walt Disney Company. They are operated by the Oriental Land Company.
Owned and operated.
Owned and operated. Owned and operated by the Oriental Land Company. So that means, Disney's doing the Imagineering in these parks. They're doing, they're injecting the IP. You're seeing similar rides here and everything to other parks around the world. So it still has that Disney theme. And I think
overall operations might be by Disney as well, but basically what it is if it's the management like of the operations and Imagineering, they're licensed out. So their services are licensed to Tokyo Disneyland, to the Oriental Land Company.
There you go. That's
Yeah.
what it is. Because there is that licensing agreement. That licensing was the word I was looking for there to tie
So
that
the
all
attractions
together.
and
Yes.
the Disney characters are licensed there, just
Essentially,
like
they've licensed Disney World
the
to them. You know?
people, like the Imagineers, are licensed to them as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And as much as Connor and I don't talk about this often, because we're glass half full type of people, but it seems to be the narrative of Disney fans around the world that travel from park to park nowadays. And when I say nowadays, in the past, 7 to 8 years, that we grew up in an era where the Disney way was the pinnacle of customer service. It was the customer experience in a Disney park. People still talk that way. That's not gone. You still have Disney experiences. But to have that traditional Disney feel, it seems to be the reviews that you get from parks nowadays is you have to go to the park that is owned and operated by the Oriental Land Company because that is a higher priority to them than it is in other international parks owned and operated by the Walt Disney Company. There we go.
I like that. I like that a lot. I think what you get with the Oriental Land Company in Japan is, I think what's happening here is budget cuts and things like that, where when the Oriental Land Company is, licensing out their services to Disney's, trying to make more money off of them. So they're going to up the ante, and the Oriental Land Company is going to pay that premium so that they can have a great experience. So I think that's where it comes in, where stateside, they're more about cost cutting and savings and things like that. And it's hurting.
Yep.
It might be helping the bottom line, but it's hurting the customer interaction.
Yes.
So,
and we haven't, like I said, in the middle of my little, not diatribe, but like my little monologue, is there still are Disney experiences. That magic's not gone. Connor and I aren't saying that's gone yet, but there will come a day where that bottom line meets somewhere where customers are like, you know what, these bathrooms just aren't clean anymore. There's just there are one too many people in the park, or this ticket costs just one too many dollars now. We haven't hit it yet. And Disney's good for them. They're pressing on all those marks.
Yes.
But eventually that tipping point will hit, and I think we'll see that in the next several years. I don't know if it'll be the prices first or it'll be the customer service and they see park numbers drop. But here's the other thing. It's going to be several years because Star Wars is coming out and they don't have to worry about any of that for a while.
No.
Which is kind of a bummer because you wish that stuff wouldn't affect the customer experience. Give us a good experience.
I mean, there's two sides, on it. You're like, I want to be upset, but oh boy, I got to get on that 28-minute ride.
I know.
Papa.
Yeah.
But Hank,
These bathrooms are nasty.
These bathrooms are gross. But damn, have you had that blue milk yet?
Yeah.
Hey, these
Boy, that was a sentence right there.
Man, these bathrooms are nasty. Sounds like these custodial cast members, their actions do not have consequences.
Boy, that lactose-free blue milk sure does taste great.
Was that almonds I was tasting? I don't know. But I think what Hank is also trying to say is these theme parks in Tokyo are like the most incredible theme parks in the world. I think
they're pristine. Yeah,
Tokyo Disney Sea is like considered the pinnacle of theme park creation.
I'm hoping you're going to pick the ride that I didn't pick now. Or the attraction. But
I actually wasn't going to pick anything there.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Because I think
Yes, I didn't mean to interrupt. The pinnacle, they really are the pinnacle of like cleanly, beautiful, picturesque, artistic Disney parks.
What did you think I was going to pick?
I thought you were going to say the new Beauty and the Beast ride that they're Imagineering right now.
No, because I haven't seen that yet. Just because I want to give it to you. I was thinking about doing something from Tokyo Disney Sea, but what I know about that park is those attractions fit in there perfectly.
Yeah,
so
that's
just
the thing.
pulling
They still
something out.
storytell out there. It's incredible.
Pulling something out doesn't make any sense. What I would like to see, and I have no idea where it would fit in Disney World because we technically already have one, but I'd like to see something like it, is Mystic Manor.
Oh, yeah.
Which people say is the best Disney attraction, maybe in the world. Mystic Manor is the Haunted Mansion version in Hong Kong Disneyland.
Right. And we've talked about this on the podcast before. I forget why. It was an Infinity Stone.
Oh, yes, that's right. It was an Infinity Stone.
Yeah.
Great episode.
Yeah.
Was it like episode 3, 4, something like that?
Yeah, pretty early on. That was
Pretty
like
early on.
in the single digits.
In single digits. We were so young then.
Yeah.
Was it 5 months ago? So the reason that they had to do this ride is because in China, ghosts and haunted things are something you don't discuss. Like it's
taboo.
very faux pas. Yeah, it's very taboo. So much so that before I worked on the mine train, there was a group of cast members from Shanghai who worked on the mine train. And what they were doing was they were training to go open the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train with Shanghai Disneyland when it opened. It was going to be a debut attraction there. So they would work there on the mine train in Magic Kingdom, learn the ropes, go over there and open it. And cast members that I worked with were like, yeah, we couldn't get them on the Haunted Mansion. They like freaked out if we tried to like have them get on the Haunted Mansion. So this is much more playful, Mystic Manor. It's much more adventure-like. And I've watched the YouTube video of the ride.
I haven't watched that in a while. I'm probably going to watch that tonight.
I'll probably watch it tonight again too, even though I watched it like last week. It's just awesome. It's all in English, which is cool.
I don't understand. That's another thing. That's another spooky thing about the ride.
Oh, it doesn't make any sense why everything leading up to it is not in English, but the ride.
But then
is
every
in
once in a while you hear someone like screaming in Mandarin. You're like, what?
Yeah. What's going on?
What's going on here?
It's a trackless ride system, which means you don't really know where it's going to go. There's all these other cars around you that are, weaving in and out. The animatronics are great. The storytelling is great. I think there's a lot of unique kind of quote unquote magic like things the Imagineers do there. Yeah. And plus there's also that C component, SEA, which is Society of Explorers and Adventurers, which there's like this almost global Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah.
That is C in the sense that
man, I'm gonna watch this now when we're done. I'm itching to watch this ride now.
C is like all these like people in Disney parks around the world. All these characters are tied together to each other, and they're all like part of this one like collective group. And that's one of the rides. Hopefully, we start to get more rides in Disney World and in Disneyland that are like that. The Adventurers Club was one of the first ones in Pleasure Island in Disney World and in downtown Disney that kind of had the Society of Explorers and Adventurers, but it just looks awesome. People look like they have a great time on it.
Sounds though like, Connor, we might be getting a lot of show elements similar in Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway that are similar to Mystic Manor,
which is
maybe
cool. Yeah,
not so much the trackless element, but at least the effects.
I'm excited for new standalone attractions, meaning things that aren't based off of an IP story.
Yeah, good luck. Yeah, you're not going to enjoy that for too long.
Well, I love the IP story stuff too. I just every once in a while weaving it in. Mystic Manor is a completely unique and made up story by the Imagineers. Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, even though they're characters that is going to be a new story from what we're led to believe. So that's why I'm excited for that. But yeah, if there's open room for it, bring Mystic Manor over here. We'll have 2 Haunted Mansion-like attractions.
Yeah, that would have to be a 5th park, unfortunately.
In Disney World.
5th gate.
Well, that's fine. We'll make it happen. Now it's time for our main segment. Last week on the show, we gave a walking tour of the Coronado Springs Resort. We discuss the construction going on for it and what the future holds for the resort. Well, in this episode, we wanted to give our full review of this moderate resort. So Hank, like we talked about in the episode last week, changes are aplenty when it comes to Coronado Springs. We experienced some of them when we stayed in the rooms, which we'll get to. We'll talk about those newly renovated rooms. We'll discuss, the future of it a little bit here as well. But it's still very much in kind of a shift, a changing of the guard, if you will, until, I guess, June, July, when it'll open up for...
July, yeah. That's when the rooms are available, mid-July.
Mid-July, yeah. So I think it was something interesting when we had talked about at the end of the episode last week where we were like, oh, we love this. This is a great resort. This is so awesome, blah, 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 blah. But then we were both like, well, why do we stay here? And Hank, you said it, and I agreed with you. It was the price. Like, that's the reason we stay here. And
Yeah.
I keep going back to that because I keep, really hyping it up and saying, oh, it's a great resort. I love this about it. I love this about it. I love this about it. And they're like, oh, so is it your top resort? I'm like, no, I don't know. Overall,
Yeah.
what do you think it is? Can you pinpoint why it's that way? Because I think what we're about to say is we love all aspects of it, but there's just something about it that doesn't scream at me like this is my home resort.
It just feels. I'm not prepared to answer that because I can't put my finger on it either.
Yeah.
I'll think of it by the end of this episode, but there is something about it that just makes you go, this is not quite home to me. This is not too many people, and listen, there's nothing wrong with it at all. If you told me like, oh, my family always went to Coronado, we grew up going to the dig site. It's just my home. Love walking around the lake. My parents would run laps around the lake when I was growing up. It's just like, that's where I went. I would totally understand. But there's just something about it that makes there's that disconnect for me personally. And I feel like that for a lot of other Disney fans too. I think you would realize that you were in a minority if you were like, this is my home resort.
Yeah, that might be true. And I don't know why other ones don't feel that way for whatever reason. Because when it comes to the vibe of this resort, I think the grounds itself are beautiful and the theming of it is incredible. I think, it's Southwestern America, Mexico, those sorts of vibes. And all of the buildings, I think, really scream that theming. They're perfectly executed. The colors all are similar yet different, so that those tones just come across so well. And I really, really like the both the layout of it and the architecture that's involved of these rooms.
I almost wonder, Connor. So even the way that you've structured this episode in our show notes, we start with, the grounds. And you've talked about, like, I love the vibe. I love the layout.
Yeah.
It works
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
I already mentioned, the dig site. It's a great little secluded area. It's no different than, Portside or Port Orleans Riverside or French Quarter. I think, kind of recessed in a nice little area with a modest slide type of thing. And people, for sure, there are some diehard, Riverside and Port Orleans people out there. There are those people out there, but you just don't see as many with Coronado. And I'm thinking about it now. It's almost a combination, and it's the next item on our list, on your show notes, is the lobby is truly underwhelming.
Yeah, I think it's...
The whole lobby, the main area experience feels really cheap.
Which is interesting because people go into it and they're like, oh, this is nice. But then once you start to kind of like figure it out, you're like, this is just one gigantic, like, empty room, because it's all connected with the store and the little coffee bar and the check-in desks, and then also the restaurants there as well, which I think
And you're kind of used to. Hey, listen, my favorite type of cuisine is Mexican cuisine, whether that's cheapened Tex-Mex or authentic like street Mexican.
You
or
made mole
Yucatan.
this weekend, didn't you?
I did. Thank you for that shout
You're
out.
welcome.
I that took about 4 hours. If anyone wants to listen to my cooking podcast, I don't have one, so
Thank
stop
God.
searching. But it's just like I've seen all these types of cuisine before at my local Tex-Mex place that I go to with the colored plates and the red Coke glasses. It's no different there. It's not something special. And there's something about those other moderates, like I mentioned. I keep wanting to just mention Port Orleans. There's something quaint about them, There's something about that detail that feels like I can't actually do this unless I go to New Orleans. It doesn't feel like that cheap kind of. I love Mexican. I don't want to kick it down, but it doesn't feel like I'm going around the corner to the Mexican restaurant that's cheaply themed by my house at home in Ohio.
It's true because there's other aspects of it where the pool, the dig site, I think is one of the best pools on property.
Whoa.
Right? I think it's. I mean, you love that.
Yeah, that slides.
The Jaguar slide.
Yeah.
When it is open, I think, it looks like a Mayan pyramid. It's very well themed. It's awesome. But then there are just aspects of it where you're like, yeah, this is just a lobby. And I don't want it to seem like we're bemoaning this place because I really always
because if you listen to the last
enjoy-
episode, we liked it a lot.
I really always enjoy staying there. And I think that's what it is. It's when I'm there, I enjoy it. And I don't think I feel compelled to say, oh, this is nice. This is nice. Because when I'm walking around, it is nice. I'm like, oh, it's very picturesque here. It's very beautiful. But what I really want to do is I want to be in the parks. I want to be doing something there.
Yeah.
When it comes to places like Animal Kingdom, I love being at the resort just as much as I love being in the parks because I love to explore the resort. I love to watch the animals. I love to eat the food. When I'm at something like Port Orleans Riverside, I love to go to River Roost and listen to Yeehaw Bob. When I'm at Old Key West, the gurgling suitcase is like this little hole in the wall that people absolutely love.
Yeah.
It's those little things that make it.
Walking around the boardwalk at any of those over there.
Walking around the boardwalk, going to Jelly Rolls there, going to the Bellevue Lounge there. Those are things that you can only find in that place that make them very unique and make them very homey and things like that. So I think we've pinpointed it already. That's what
we found
Coronado
it.
Springs is missing. It's missing that quaint hominess feel.
It's a little isolated. A little isolated.
It's a beautiful resort. It's laid out perfectly. The theming is great. It needs something quaint, something where we can go, and that's the only place we're going to find it.
Maybe, and like we said on the last one, maybe it's that center of the lake bar.
Maybe it is.
Maybe that adds that level of quaintness, or maybe this just turns into what's the word I'm looking for? This complex for all these business retreats. It just becomes a convention center, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe that's what's happening.
A convention hub, because it is the biggest convention center on Disney property. They said something once that is like their exhibit hall space. If all the walls were down, you could take 5 Disney buses and they could drive in a circle. Like,
oh, wow.
Yeah, that's how big it is. So there's always, conventioneers in there, and that does give it a different vibe. And I kind of get the reasoning behind their restaurants right now. Very utilitarian, get in, get out. Mm-hmm. That's what those people are looking for. In that they're just looking for a bite to eat. They can get back to work. They can get back to their sessions or networking or what have you.
I can't remember, Connor. Did I leave the pro tip on the last episode about what you get if you stop by the gym if you're on property?
No, go on.
I was just a pro tip for you that are going to stay at the Coronado Springs. There's a little Nature Valley, those grain bars that explode out of the wrapper in the gym. Yeah, for free if you want to go grab one of those as a late afternoon snack as you listen to this podcast.
Those are good. Hey, that is a good pro tip, Hank.
Yeah,
that is a great pro tip. That's a heck of a park snack too.
I just saved you $4 in the park or a trip to
Publix.
Publix, probably.
Boom shakalaka. So I think the convention thing definitely adds to it or takes away from it. Whatever you want. I think that's also why you're able to get unique discounts at this place. Discounts meaning like Hank, we found this place on, what was it, Priceline? Is that what it is? Hotline?
Yeah, it was a Priceline deal.
So I think Disney has a lot of deals on those third-party sites for this because...
Don't expect those after October this year.
No, but I think it's one of the things where when conventions come in waves, it's hard to book for a lengthier stay if the entire place is booked for 3 random days in October or what have you.
Yeah.
So I think that's interesting. I will say during the day it does seem very, very serene, very peaceful, which I do enjoy. But I think the best part about this resort are those new room renovations. Don't you think, Hank?
Oh, for sure. Man, we really liked those when we were there.
Because
those were some nice rooms.
We stayed there in 2015.
Yeah,
we stayed there in 2015, and they were newly renovated then. But it was almost like kind of like a refresh, and now they're
with
fully
the
renovated.
Floors. And they're just like, even the transition from, going from a value, which, hey, also we loved, to going to the moderate, and you get the Keurig. The rooms are a little bigger. The countertop space, the bathroom, everything,
It was nice. I think the rooms are absolutely awesome. You had a corner room, didn't you? That was
corner room, extra window.
A lot of light, nice little reading nook there. So much space, granite countertops everywhere, big slider door. I really like those lights that came out of the headboard. Did you notice that?
Yes, those were good.
Those were great.
Tuck those away.
The fans were nice. Oh, baby. So these rooms, I think, are well worth their price of whatever you're paying.
Absolutely.
It's awesome. I think, there's plenty of parking by them, and there's plenty of bus stops. Hopefully, with this big tower, 500 rooms that's coming, there's going to be more buses added to the rotation and things like that. Because that's one thing, is it too big already? Are there too many bus stops? Is it too spread out? I think when they're adding in those walkways to get you across the lake, that's going to be very beneficial. So it's going to make it a little bit smaller in a sense.
It does already. As we said, you can feel it. It feels smaller immediately when you add those.
Yeah. Exactly.
And hopefully not cramped. Hopefully it feels more cohesive when those walls come down.
And for as much as we say there's just something that needs a click for me to really, really want to stay there all the time. There just has to be that homey thing or that fact that you're only going to find there. This is a resort that I would stay at over so many other resorts on Disney property,
Oh, yeah. Yep.
I think it's in that middle category for me. It's not my favorite. I don't hate it, but I have never been disappointed, I don't think, staying there. I've always been, this is a great resort, but I'm glad that I'm sleeping here. I don't need to just, hang out here for a day. I got plenty to do in the parks and stuff like that.
Yeah. So I definitely agree. I think that the thing with this is that it is such a classic middle of the road type of resort. The fact that it's a moderate, it just folds. You can hear us just going back and forth right now. There's so many things where we're like, this is great. Wish they had this.
Yes.
We're just we just continue to seesaw back and forth. And here we are right in the middle. Oh yeah, it's a moderate. It's doing exactly what it's supposed to do.
Right, exactly. It's living its namesake out, as it were, when it comes to the moderates.
For sure.
But I think it's definitely on our list of, yes, it's good. It's solid. If you go there,
great rooms.
Good on you. Great rooms, great pool. It gets the job done. We'll revisit it, after this summer, once the new tower is open, once the new restaurants are open. If the vibe is completely changed, if it has that, new little homey feel we're looking for, then I think this will spring right up close to the top of our absolutely have to stay at resorts. For right now, when we do book there, we're happy, we're content to be there. Once we get there, we're excited, we love staying there, but it's not a home run for us in this regard.
Yeah.
All right, well, Who knows when we're going to be there next, to be honest. I don't know when we're going to stay there next, but
Yeah, especially with all these other ones popping up.
I'm sure if the price is right, we'll be there in no time. But that's going to do it for us this week. As always, thank you so very much for listening to the show. Be sure to rate and review us on iTunes, Google Play, or wherever you listen to podcasts, and share the show with someone you think might enjoy it. If you liked what you heard today, then you've been listening to the WDW Opinion Podcast. If by chance you didn't like what you heard, then you've been listening to The Dropout. For Hank, I'm Connor. We'll see you real soon.